Hey everyone, finished watching the next Power Rangers SPD episode, Idol. After an apparent UFO crash, the Rangers discover it was one of their own ships. A survivor on board tells them he was chasing a criminal when he lost control. The survivor is Drew, an old friend of Sky's. Sky is happy to see him. He was considered missing in action for a year. Drew and Sky show off their Tangarian coils, special metal bracelets traditionally given to best friends on Drew's home planet. Drew talks about how he crashed, and Jack is suspicious of him. Jack, Sky, and Drew go to the shooting range, and Drew shows off his impressive marksman skills. That night, Jack is startled awake by Drew. Jack questions him about the year he was missing. Drew claims to have had amnesia. Sky walks in, and suddenly Drew stops talking. Jack orders him out, saying the area is off limits to unauthorized personnel. Sky argues that Drew is authorized, as he's part of SPD. Jack shoots him down, saying Drew was part of SPD and must be re-evaluated. Sky reluctantly follows his orders. Sky tells Drew that he looked into the criminal Drew said he was chasing, and he was already arrested, and is still in prison. Drew then tells Sky that he's actually on a secret mission and can't say anymore. In his room, the audience sees Drew transform into a monster. The next morning, an alarm sounds. An alien has invaded the engine room of SPD headquarters. The alien looks like the monster Drew turned into. The alien gets away, and Jack goes to check Drew's room. He finds it empty. Jack is convinced that Drew is the alien, but Sky doesn't believe it. Kruger returns from a conference, and Sky tells him he's responsible for the security breach. Suddenly, the alien appears and shoots Kruger. Sky corners it, and it turns back into Drew. He explains that he's an assassin working for Broodwing. He fires at Sky, who blocks it with his bracelet. Drew taunts Sky, picking up the broken bracelet and tossing it at him, then walks away. Kruger is in the infirmary, barely alive. Elsewhere, Broodwing threatens Drew for allowing Kruger to live. Drew is unaware and goes back to finish the job. Sky and Jack make plans to capture Drew. Sky confronts him alone and manages to wound him. Drew opens a canister that makes him grow. The Rangers form the Megazord and arrest him. This episode is really good and reveals a new side of Sky. At one time, he wasn't quite so stuffy and arrogant. He sounds like a normal guy. There's a subtle theme about change here. Sky was once a friendly, fun guy, but now is a strict-by-the-books type. Drew was once an aspiring cadet, but is now a criminal. One thing that never gets an explanation, why did Drew crash his ship? Was it on purpose, or was it an accident? Where did he get the ship, anyway? It's not terribly important, but he could have probably just been let into SPD headquarters by just walking in. He has a uniform, and as far as anyone knows, he's still a loyal member. I like that Sky is shown to be more than he previously appeared, but this does clash a bit with his established character. He's quite a bit easier to be around, and is far more open and considerate. Maybe he's just happy to see his old friend back. Jack is shown to be adjusting well to his new leadership position. He's able to figure things out quickly and knows right away that something is up with Drew. One problem I have with this episode is Drew transforming into his alien form for the audience. I think that this should have been kept more ambiguous to retain some mystery and keep the audience guessing whether or not the alien was really him. A minor nitpick is Sky almost immediately reversing his thoughts on his friend when Kruger arrives. I think he should have stood up for Drew up until he sees him shoot Kruger, or at least be questioning of him. Drew's motivation is greed, not a complex or deep motivation, but it works. Kruger is seriously injured and implied to have nearly died. That's pretty intense for Power Rangers at this point. The last time a character was seriously injured and required hospital care was back in Time Force with Wes's father. Drew is played by Dwayne Cameron, who played a bully back in Dino Thunder and would go on to play Tyzon, the Mercury Ranger in Operation Overdrive. Both Drew and Tyzon were aliens with two forms, one alien and one human. What a weird coincidence. In the background of a scene at SPD headquarters, some people are watching motocross footage from Ninja Storm. SPD loves motocross. While this is a pretty strong episode of SPD, there's a few odd bits that make a lot more sense after watching its Deca Ranger counterpart. The ship crashes because in Deca Ranger, Drew's counterpart Vino would have gone through a security clearance. This way, the Blue Ranger, Hoji, sees him, knows him, and allows him into SPD without any issue, and he bypasses security. They try to contact his branch of SPD in Deca Ranger, but in Power Rangers they don't. The room with the film projector makes way more sense too. Sky in Power Rangers says he knows where Drew is. Why in the world would that be where he is? Why would he know that? And Deca Ranger Vino tells them that that's where he is because he's holding a hostage nearby. Vino never transforms for the audience, though the mystery isn't held much longer in either version. Like, they give it away in Power Rangers, while in Deca Ranger, he just drops the whole thing earlier on in the episode. One of the other weird differences is with Drew, his alien form is his real form, while in Deca Ranger, Vino, it's his artificially enhanced form. Some of the changes in Power Rangers work, while other things are a sign that they just did them because Deca Ranger did. One change that actually improves on Deca Ranger is Kruger being wounded. In Deca Ranger, he's up and about almost immediately, while in Power Rangers, he's bedridden up till the end. This is a more realistic take on the events and leaves more of an impact. Another change is the bracelets. They're given a much bigger emphasis in Power Ranger to symbolize the end of Sky and Drew's friendship. Overall, this is another great episode and a decent example of how a Sentai plot can be adapted into Power Rangers. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.